Imagine carrying the weight of an entire nation on your back. Imagine being 38 years old, playing in your sixth World Cup, with one hamstring injury scare already behind you before the tournament even begins. Imagine being the greatest player in the history of this sport, and knowing that history itself is lined up against you. Not one opponent, not one rival. History, 64 years of it. That is exactly where Lionel Messi stands today. Argentina arrive at the 2026 FIFA World Cup as defending champions. That sentence sounds powerful. It sounds like an advantage. It sounds like strength. But if you understand what that status actually means in the context of this tournament's brutal, unforgiving history, it sounds like something else entirely. It sounds like a warning. Welcome to Memory of the Pitch. Let's get started. To understand what Argentina are walking into, you have to understand what every defending champion before them walked into, and what happened to all of them. In the 96-year history of the FIFA World Cup, only two nations have ever successfully defended the title. Italy did it in 1934 and 1938, in an era of pre-war European football where the competitive landscape bore little resemblance to the modern game. Brazil did it in 1958 and 1962, driven by the teenage genius of Pelé, who ironically missed most of the 1962 tournament through injury. Brazil still won. That is how good that squad was. Since Brazil's triumph in 1962, not a single defending champion has lifted the trophy again at the next edition. Not one, not in over 6 decades. Let that sit. France won in 1998 on home soil. In 2002, they were eliminated in the group stage without scoring a single goal. A team built around Zinedine Zidane, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, out in 3 games. Gone. Italy won in 2006. In 2010, they drew with Paraguay, drew with New Zealand, and were eliminated by Slovakia. Gone in the group. Spain won in 2010. In 2014, they were hammered 5-1 by the Netherlands in the opening game, and were out before most people had finished processing what was happening to them. The reigning European and world champions, eliminated, in the group, gone. Germany won in 2014. In 2018, they lost to Mexico, scraped a win against Sweden, and were knocked out by South Korea in the group stage. Gone. A country that had reached the final of the previous 3 tournaments finished bottom of their group. France in 2022 reached the final, a better fate than most. But even they could not reclaim the trophy. They fell to Argentina on penalties in one of the greatest finals ever played. The pattern is not coincidence. It is one of football's most merciless structural realities. The defending champion becomes the target. Every opponent raises their game. The physical and emotional toll of winning a tournament is enormous. Preparation cycles are disrupted. Players age, hunger fades at the edges, and the football world, which has watched and studied you for 4 years, arrives better prepared to stop you than any previous opponent ever was. This is what Argentina are walking into. This is what Messi is walking into. And the question I want to answer in this video is not simply will Argentina collapse? The question is, what would it take for them not to? And does Messi, at 38 years old, in the final chapter of the most extraordinary career in football history, have enough left to defy everything that has come before? I want to talk about Messi, not the myth, not the Instagram highlights. The real picture of what this man is going into this tournament as. He is 38 years old. He turns 39 on June 24th during the tournament itself. He is Argentina's most capped player of all time with 198 appearances. He is their all-time leading scorer with 116 goals. He has played 26 World Cup matches, more than anyone in the history of the competition. He has won everything there is to win in club football, and in 2022 in Qatar, he won the one thing that had always been missing, the World Cup. That final against France was not just a football match, it was a coronation. The image of Messi lifting that trophy was one of the defining moments in the history of this sport, and now he is back, not in comfort, not as a passenger. He is the captain, he is the leader. He is once again the man that 45 million Argentines and hundreds of millions more around the world are watching. But the clock is visible in a way it has never been before. Just weeks before the tournament, Inter Miami confirmed that Messi had developed a left hamstring issue. For a player of 38, that kind of news is not just an injury update, it is a reminder of biological reality. His body has given him everything. The question hanging over this tournament is whether it has just a little more to give. I am not writing Messi off. I would never be that foolish. This is the man who produced perhaps the greatest individual World Cup performance ever seen in Qatar 2022. Flat 2D vector illustration, row of 5 World Cup trophy illustrations, each progressively more cracked and broken left to right. First trophy intact, 1998 France. Last golden and intact, 2022 Argentina, but with a crack forming at base. Nameplate labels under each. Background, flat deep green, golden cream palette. Ominous red crack accent line. Clean sharp outlines, flat colors. Hand-drawn retro style. Memory of the pitch aesthetic. The good news for Argentina is that the core of their 2022 squad is intact. Of the 26 players Lionel Scaloni selected for this tournament, 17 were part of the team that won in Qatar. That continuity is real. The chemistry is real. The understanding between players who have competed together for years, who know each other's movements without needing to look, that is not something money can buy. Emiliano Martinez is in goal, the best goalkeeper in the world at his peak, the man whose penalty shootout heroics against the Netherlands in 2022 remain one of the most extraordinary sequences in World Cup history. Except that he is coming into this tournament with a fractured ring finger on his right hand, suffered in the Europa League final when Aston Villa beat Freiburg. He has been confirmed in the squad. Whether he is fully fit is a different question. Christian Romero is in central defense, one of the best defenders in the Premier League over the last 3 seasons, a player whose reading of the game and physical authority give Argentina a defensive solidity they simply would not have without him. He suffered a high-grade partial tear of his medial collateral ligament in April. He played in pre-tournament friendlies. He is in the squad. But the risk is there. Nahuel Molina, Gonzalo Montiel, the man who scored the decisive penalty in the 2022 final. Both included, both in varying states of fitness, and Messi himself working through a hamstring concern. This is not a squad that arrives at a World Cup fully healthy and fully rested. This is a squad that has absorbed injury after injury in the final weeks, patched itself together through force of will and quality, and is now preparing to do something historically unprecedented. And that brings us to the squad's youth injection. Nico Paz, the Como standout who has been extraordinary in Serie A this season and helped the Italian club qualify for the Champions League under Cesc Fabregas. Valentin Barco, who will join Chelsea from Strasbourg. Thiago Almada. These are not just names to fill a roster. They are the players who represent the next phase of Argentine football, the post-Messi generation trying to find their footing in the shadow of a giant. The uncomfortable truth is this. Argentina's squad is both their greatest strength and their greatest vulnerability. 17 players who know exactly how to win a World Cup, and several of them are arriving at this tournament with their bodies already at the limit. On paper, Argentina's group looks manageable. Group J, Algeria, Austria, Jordan. They open against Algeria in Kansas City on June 16th. They face Austria on June 22nd. They close against Jordan on June 27th in Arlington, Texas. 3 games where Argentina are the heavy favorites in every single one, where the expectation is that they progress comfortably, build momentum, and arrive at the knockout rounds with their squad as healthy and ready as possible. But I have been watching football long enough to know that comfortable on paper and comfortable on the pitch are 2 different things entirely. Algeria are technically gifted and have the capacity to cause real problems. They should not be dismissed. Austria under Ralf Rangnick have been transformed into one of European football's most tactically sophisticated pressing units. The same Rangnick philosophy that built RB Leipzig, that influenced Jurgen Klopp, that has shaped how modern football thinks about pressing and transition. Austria play that way now, with genuine quality and genuine belief. They will not sit back and defend against Argentina. They will press high, win the ball early, and attack directly. If Argentina's fitness levels are not where they need to be, if the squad is carrying the injury concerns into those group games without resolution, Austria could cause a genuine problem. And then there is the wider bracket, because the group stage is only the beginning. If Argentina advance, which they are expected to, the knockout rounds present a different kind of challenge. The round of 32, then the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals. Up to 5 more games after the group stage, a total of potentially 8 matches across the tournament. At 38 years old, is Messi physically capable of producing his best across 8 World Cup games? Has anyone ever asked that question about any player in history? The answer is no, because no player at 38 has ever been good enough to be asking it. Let me tell you who is in this tournament. Because the competition around Argentina is not forgiving. Spain arrive as the tournament's #1 ranked side, with Lamine Yamal, 18 years old and already arguably the best player in the world, leading a squad that won Euro 2024 and is built almost entirely around players under 25. They have depth, speed, tactical intelligence, and hunger that Argentina cannot match at every position. France have Kylian Mbappé, who scored 41 goals for Real Madrid this season, including 15 in the Champions League, and who arrives at this tournament with the kind of form that wins tournaments by himself when the team around him performs. France's squad depth is arguably the most formidable in world football. Goalkeeper Mike Maignan, William Saliba and Ibrahima Konate at the back, N'Golo Kante still dictating from midfield, Aurelien Tchouameni, Didier Deschamps' final World Cup as manager, with the clearest possible motivation to go out as a champion. England have Harry Kane, who has had one of the greatest goal-scoring seasons of his career. They have Jude Bellingham, operating with a maturity and technical quality that places him among the 3 best midfielders in world football. They have a squad that has been gradually built across a decade to be capable of going deep at a major tournament: Brazil, Germany. The 2026 World Cup is not a tournament where any defending champion, however talented, can simply show up and repeat. This is the most competitive edition of the competition in history. 48 teams expanded beyond all previous formats, generating a depth of quality in the knockout rounds that even 2022 could not match. Argentina need everything to go right. Their best players need to stay fit. Their experienced core needs to perform at the level that won the last tournament. And Messi, at 38 in his final World Cup carrying a recent injury, needs to produce one more miracle run through a competition that has already seen every defending champion before him fall. Here is the truth about the champion's curse. Since 2002, since France were humiliated in South Korea and Japan, the defending champion has been eliminated in the group stage 4 times, 4 times out of 5 tournaments. The only exception was France in 2022, who reached the final and very nearly retained the title. That is the scale of what Argentina are facing. Not just opponents, not just injuries. The pattern of history itself, suggesting that the burden of defending a World Cup is simply too heavy to carry across 4 years and then repeat. And yet, I keep coming back to the same thought, the same image. Messi on that pitch in Qatar in December 2022, 35 years old, in the final of the World Cup, against France, the defending champions, in a match that swung back and forth with a violence and drama that no script could have manufactured. Extra time, penalties, and Messi lifting that trophy, his face a portrait of disbelief and pure joy after a lifetime of trying. Every statistical model said Argentina should not have beaten France in that final. France had Mbappé on one of the most extraordinary individual final performances in history, a hat-trick in the second half and extra time to drag his team level twice. Argentina had Messi, 35 years old, supposedly slowing down, producing goals and moments of genius that defied everything we understood about the relationship between age and elite performance. That is who this man is. That is what he does to the mathematics of impossibility. He is 38 now, 3 years older. The hamstring issue is real. The curse of defending champions is real. The quality of Spain, France, England, Germany, and Brazil is real. The physical demands of 8 matches across a 48-team tournament are real. All of that is real. And so is the fact that Lionel Messi has spent his entire career making impossible things happen on football pitches when every reasonable argument said they should not. So I will leave you with the question that this entire tournament is built around. The question that will define the next 6 weeks of football. Can Messi, at 38 in his 6th and final World Cup, carrying an injury into a squad depleted by fitness concerns, do something that no defending champion has managed in 64 years? Can he defy the curse that took down Zidane's France, Buffon's Italy, Villa's Spain, and Miller's Germany? Can he walk into an era of football history that belongs to Lamine Yamal and Kylian Mbappe and remind everyone, one final time, exactly who the greatest of all time really is? The numbers say no, the pattern says no, history says no. But this is Messi, and Messi has never much cared what history says. Group J begins June 16th in Kansas City. Argentina against Algeria, the greatest defender of a World Cup title the sport has ever seen, stepping onto a pitch for the last time in the biggest competition there is. I will be watching every second of it. And if you love football, truly love it, so will you. This is not just Argentina's story. This is not just Messi's story. This is a story about what happens when one man refuses to let time win. About what happens when an entire nation believes so hard in something that belief itself becomes a weapon. About the final act of the greatest career in the history of the sport. Subscribe to Memory of the Pitch. We will see you for every moment of what comes next.